In just over a month's time, all Americans flying domestically will need to have a real ID driver's license. Otherwise, they'll need to use a passport to fly within the United States. For some clarity on the process of getting a real ID, I want to bring in New York State DMV Deputy Commissioner Lisa Koumjian. Thank you so much for being with us today. Let's talk about the difference between a real ID and an enhanced real ID. Both of these okay for moving forward and traveling?
Yes, absolutely. They both are. The real ID costs nothing more than to get a standard ID, so it's pretty simple to get one, but you do have to bring some documentation to the DMV. Same documentation would be required to get an enhanced ID, which costs an extra $30, but the enhanced also allows you to return from certain countries, including Canada and Mexico and some Caribbean countries by land or sea. So for folks, particularly, in Buffalo or areas that border Canada, they may prefer to have an enhanced ID, but for traveling purposes and flying, the real ID or enhanced work pretty much the same.
And we have some examples to show our viewers on the screen of the old ID versus the new ID visually. What can you tell us? How do you know if you are due to make this change to your ID? Because they have some differences, but they look a little bit the same.
Yeah, they definitely do. The main thing you want to look for is a star, a black star in the top right-hand corner, or if you have an enhanced ID, it will say enhanced, and it will have an American flag either in the top right or the bottom right corner. So those are the key things you want to look for.
Let's talk about enforcement, right? Once this starts, I've even heard some accounts from people going to the airport and they have a flag, not a star, but TSA agents telling them, oh, you need a star in order for this to work. So it seems like, is there going to be a little bit of a level of kind of figuring this out, spreading the word and making sure that everybody is up to speed with what's acceptable and what's not?
Yeah, I think that is to be expected. We've heard the same. Unfortunately, some TSA agents are not as familiar with the enhanced ID. New York is only one of 5 states who have this type of identification, so it's definitely not something that the TSA agents see very commonly. So you may get that, but if ever confronted with that, rest assured, if you pull up the TSA Real ID Acceptable Documents webpage, the enhanced ID is listed. New York specifically is listed there as well. So it is acceptable for real ID purposes, and we're in constant communication with TSA about this to make sure not only are the agents properly trained, but folks who do have an enhanced ID are as informed as well, so they can help educate when they're at the airport.
What happens if someone shows up with the old ID without that added passport? Are they sent home? What happens next with that?
It remains to be determined. The TSA is still working out exactly what that'll look like on May 7th. They've been very clear that May 7th is the deadline, but the federal government passed a rule not too long ago that allows federal agencies to implement phased enforcement. Whether or not that'll happen remains to be determined. So the New York State DMV is waiting, just like everyone else, to see exactly what happens come May 7th. But the best thing to do is make sure you are prepared, whether you have a real ID, enhanced ID, or some other form of acceptable documentation. It's best to just make sure you have something with you. If you know you're not compliant, you may want to call your airline or check the TSA website before you get on a plane.
Or you may want to go to the DMV. How should New Yorkers prepare? We've been hearing about longer than usual lines at the DMV. How is your office navigating that?
The best thing to do is go on our website and make a reservation. That's the easiest way to get in and out. Folks who have a reservation can usually get in and out of the office in about 30 minutes. Demand is very high right now, though, so you may wait a couple weeks before you can get an available reservation, but we are releasing new appointment times throughout the day. Every single day we're adding more. We've significantly enhanced the number of reservation slots that we have for Real ID and EDL appointments, so keep checking back. Even if you log on in the morning, you don't see anything available, check later in the day, because like I said, we're pushing out new appointment times throughout the day. We know a lot of New Yorkers work different hours and they're not always able to get on first thing in the morning, so trying to make it fair for everybody. The other thing we want folks to do is to prepare. We have 2 different options online. You can do a self-guided document guide. It'll ask you different questions like, do you have a birth certificate? Have you been married? Do you have your marriage license? That sorts of things. And at the end of that self-guided tour, It'll have a checklist for you so you know exactly what you need to bring into the office. The other option, if you're comfortable with this, is to upload your documents to our website, and then we have staff standing by to review everything before you come to your appointment, and that way you know if everything's accurate, if it's in check, if you have everything you need. Otherwise, they'll message you back through email and say, hey, you're missing this, or these things don't match up and you need to make some changes.
And I just have
so we highly recommend folks go online.
Got it. And then in the worst case scenario, if they can't get that appointment before the deadline, just have about 10 seconds left, just carry your passport with you, I guess, is the advice?
Yep, if you have your passport, trusted traveler card, there's lots of other options that you can bring.
Okay, great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Hopefully it is smooth sailing for the next month leading up to this launch.
We hope so. It's my pleasure. Thank you.